Guys, AOC is at it again, and this time it's about the border crisis. Although, according to known border expert AOC, it's not actually a border crisis. It's an imperialism crisis. It's a trade crisis. And most importantly, it's a climate crisis, because the U.S. has disproportionately contributed to global warming and climate change, which is forcing mass migration. I'm wondering why it didn't force mass migrations for the last 4 years when Trump was in charge, and they knew they weren't getting in. They knew they weren't getting free health care. They knew they weren't getting free education. Do you think maybe it has to do more with promising people a bunch of free stuff? That's why you have a crisis at the border? But again, it's not a crisis at the border. It's all of those ridiculous things. When people say it's an invasion, she said, that's an idea of white supremacists, that it's an invasion. An invasion is when you see tens of thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of people trying to cross your border illegally, okay? She says, it's not a surge. You know, that too has terrible implications. I mean, the basic definition of a surge is an increased supply, more than normal. And if you look at the numbers, any moron can tell you that it's more than normal. So it's not a crisis at the border when you have kids in cages. I'm sorry. Kids in migrant detention facilities for minors. We got to make sure we get the vernacular right. It was different under Trump. The same rooms, although under capacity under Trump, now overflowing at a couple thousand% under Joe Biden. Now it's migrant detention facilities. It's no longer kids in cages. Okay, but AOC is going to lecture us about how this is a concept of white supremacy and what's going on. You know, she didn't do the crying picture at the border. She's going to cry at the wall. Why isn't she doing that now? There's children crammed in detention facilities, hundreds of times over capacity as a percentage. Overflowing. Kids that are suffering from COVID that are just mixed in there. They're not testing. They've released people into the population of America that have been positive for COVID, but again, that's not a problem. So it's not a crisis. It's somehow white supremacy. So this is the stupidity that's going on. Again, it wasn't a crisis for the last 4 years because there wasn't this mass influx. Again, when the Biden administration said, come on in, we'll give you everything for free, we'll make you into a Democrat voter for life by promising American taxpayer dollars to you and to your children, of course they're going to come. And by the way, I'd take most of these migrants, not the ones that are bringing in massive amounts of drugs, which has gone through the roof, not the ones that are human trafficking, not the ones that are sex trafficking, but there are good, hardworking people as part of these crews. Now, I don't know that America can sustain all of these things anyway, I don't think that they should, and I certainly don't think the American taxpayer should be taking care of some of these people for life. In many cases, they may, and I don't think we should have our children not get good education because we're diluting our systems, whether it's healthcare or education. But again, I would take most of these migrants versus a communist like AOC, who's literally had everything in America, the American dream. She's living it. Liberal privilege, extraordinaire, one of the youngest people ever to get into Congress. All of these things she's benefited from America, but she still hates it with a passion. Guess what? I would take almost any of these migrants, at least the good, hard-working ones, versus the criminal element that's very prevalent and growing rapidly, over a communist like AOC, over a communist like you see leading the Democrat Party. I take those guys any day. But let's watch this stuff, because I didn't see her doing these sort of things. Her tone has drastically changed since the Biden administration took over, and I'm wondering where the outrage is that was before, seeing as the problem is significantly worse now than it was over the last 4 years when she was crying and doing photo ops at the wall. Give me a break, folks. Give me a break.